And that's great positioning, having a partner that can like bring things down to a calm level and actually process a decent solution.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about you guys share a goal of travel freedom, right? Is that a big part, a big focus on the goal line uh for the driving factor?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, we we get to experience things a lot of people don't get to experience.
Mhm.
Um, and at our age, that's the last thing we want to do is limit ourselves any more than necessary. So yeah,
Right.
it is the driving factor. It's low time freedom and location freedom. Now it's not always going to be smooth. There's going to be times where, maybe you got to pick, who knows, maybe you do it for a while. Life doesn't go linearly, right?
Right.
Maybe you got to go pick up a job for a while. And and if you do, you work nights until you get your business going again. One, two, three, four.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ITUTv. We spend a lot of time in this community talking about mastering the charts, hitting consistency, and managing risk in the trading environment. But eventually, every successful trader hits a crossroad. What do you do with the win? How do you take that capital and the discipline you've built and turn that into something that's legacy, right? That pays you even when the markets are closed. So we're not so succumbed to just trading environment. Our money can work for us in other areas. Today's guest is a veteran who turned a garage startup into $5 million digital empire. He spent over 20 years living a lifestyle most only dream of, identifying as proudly unemployable and scaling ventures in high stake niches like MMA and survivalism. He's a master of direct response architecture and a success story for all-in-one automation. He specializes in helping businesses diagnose the silent killers in their conversion process. But more importantly for us, he's a practitioner who understands the pre-funnel struggle, right? The messy middle, figuring out what to sell, how to build a business that supports a family without having to build a second full-time job. Now, please welcome to the show the architect of unemployable lifestyle, Bob Dorris.
I love that title.
Glad to have you today, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, before we get into like the technical frameworks, the funnels and offers, I wanted to start with a piece of shared history. You and I both know what it's like to rebuild from the ground up, right? I have a military background where they tear you down and they rebuild you and who they want you to be. And then after that, though, you still have to rebuild yourself into who you're going to be next for your next endeavors. For yourself, you built from a garage to the $5 million mark in 20 years of being unemployable. What's the one character trait you had to tear down from your old self to survive as an entrepreneur?
I would say that would be belief that I could do it. Um, there's, you know, you can only you only know what you know. You can only see what you can see. And previously, before I ever even tried to make my living online, I thought I didn't have the ability to. I thought I could only do the things I was doing. And I got to be honest, I was struggling. I could bring you guys to tears if I told my whole story. Uh, but I was struggling and thinking that you just get this belief that I'm destined for this type of life, right? And I have to work these kind of jobs that I hate because you just can't see anything outside of what your past has been. And so that was the biggest issue for me. I was working very demeaning jobs, and I don't want to say what age I was working at them, but an embarrassing age. Because not that I didn't have skills, I was an acupuncturist before, right?
Wow.
Failed at it though. I couldn't do acupuncture. I just I was in too early into
Okay.
that field
Okay.
before
Yeah.
anybody was knew about it.
Doing it.
Uh,
Yeah.
I was running a martial arts school and I was doing jujitsu and all that stuff back before anybody knew about
Wow.
it. So it wasn't a thing
It's
back then.
popular. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
popular.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so, typical story. I was living in, ended up living in my school, couldn't afford rent any place, just, miserable. Finally met my wife, got to a little bit better place, but got another job in a long line that I hated, and came home one day, and it was a new job. I was just so distraught because I couldn't work for somebody. I hated
Mhm.
doing it.
Mhm.
That thank God she told me, she goes, Bob, you're not going to go back there again. You're never going to do that kind of a job again. We're going to figure something else out. Like she just
Nice.
refused to let me do it, to do something I didn't like. And so
Yeah.
she forced me to take a stab at something. And my dream had always been, oh, making my living online. I thought that was
Mhm.
impossible. Only the very, fortunate few could do that.
Right.
Um, and but I took a stab at it and had a couple early wins, like got signal that, hey, there's money here. And one day I threw something up online, and guys, hopefully this will inspire you. If you're thinking you don't know enough, I knew nothing about online marketing, zero. I built a website, designed a website using Microsoft Word, just dragging pictures places, and
Wow.
and somehow I don't remember how, but somehow I figured out how to get it onto a website. And I was exercising one night, went out in my garage, and was exercising. I came in, and I'd made $500. I'm like, holy cow!
That fast.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and at that point, I went, there's a possibility here. I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to do everything I can to learn everything I need to know and just keep pushing and pushing. Um,
Damn. That's so
and what,
relatable. It's special. It's a special
yeah,
moment. Yeah.
yeah. And what it ultimately allowed us to do was, my wife and I, we traveled down to and have traveled to the Caribbean a lot. We love going down to the Caribbean. Now that you're down here in Florida, you'll probably find out the same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we can take off time whenever we want to because we can work while we travel, or family comes to visit, whereas most people go, I can't spend time with you because I have to work. Like, no, I'll take the
Mhm.
week off.
Mhm. Mhm.
That is the life. So that's the thing that keeps me going doing this. It's not always easy, but the payoff is worth it. So
Oh, most definitely, man. It's and I love that moment when you actually find out it's real. And you kind of just it's like fishing, right? You're throwing a cast out. You don't know if you're going to catch anything or not, but the moment that you do, you know it's possible, and you know that you were able to do it.
yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That resonates so deeply. Now, we've had that same shift, right, with students moving from seeking certainty, right? There's certain certainty that comes along with the paycheck portion to managing, the markets and profitability. Now, you've said that finding what to sell is often harder than the selling of it itself. So, for someone who's sitting on profit, but staring, we typically are staring at the screen. We've got, say, 5, 10,000 in the account. What's the first business should be like? Why is that first step so paralyzing in deciding what to sell or what business I should tap into?
Ooh, great question. Most people, you may have experienced this or seen this, most people don't ever start. The reason people don't start is it's a psychological thing. So you know how your brain is you ever read Psycho-Cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz? You know anything about that?
No, I've read like NLP,
Okay.
forms of books and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so our brain is a servo mechanism. It's a goal-seeking mechanism,
Okay.
right? So when you're thinking about, oh, I want this dream life, you're giving your
Mhm.
brain, your subconscious a goal. And you've all experienced how your subconscious will wake you up with a solution in the middle of the night or something you're trying to remember. It just comes to you when you're not even thinking about it because it's
Mhm.
a goal-seeking mechanism. You gave it a goal. So it will throw ideas up to you. It's got all sorts of information that you don't have access to consciously, and it's
Mhm.
processing in the background all the time. So it'll give you an idea, and you go, what a great idea. This is brilliant. 24 hours later, you have talked yourself out of it. So why do we talk
Mhm.
ourselves out of it? Because of status. Losing status is an existential threat to us,
Mhm.
right? In the ape world, the ape who has the lowest status in the tribe, in the group, they are just brutalized. The other apes get to take their woman, right? They take their
Right.
food, they scratch and beat them up. Uh, it's devastating to have the lowest status. And we've got that in us. So when we fail at a business, we try something, people know we're trying it, we fail,
Mhm.
that's a
Mhm.
loss of status. That we perceive as an existential threat, at least subconsciously. And so
Mhm.
to protect ourselves from losing status, our brain throws up reasons why this will never succeed. And then we keep that
Mhm.
cycle over and over and over. It comes up with the next idea. Within a
Wow.
day or two, you've thrown up idea, you found out reasons to not do it.
Wow. Wow. Then doesn't that creates that fear and turmoil in you
Hmm.
to ever make that step?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. How did you find a way to handle the identity crisis that happens when, you leave, even if it's a prestigious job or non-prestigious job, to then work for yourself? And then how do you maintain that internal belief, when that revenue hasn't come in? Because the money is the proving factor for people.
Well, it helps to have a partner that believes in you,
Mhm.
right?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
I would say that's probably the biggest thing is having support from people around you.
Yeah.
If you have a community of people, that is very helpful because if you get into a community and people are expecting this of you, they you're expected to show up in that community of other people who are doing the same type of thing. Now it
Hmm.
becomes hard to drop out of that community.
Yeah.
So they tend to keep driving driving you forward.
Driving forward.
I would
Yeah.
say another trick is to tell everybody your new identity,
Okay.
right? Repeat it out loud to everybody because we are driven to stay consistent with how we have identified ourselves publicly. That's
Yes.
why, politically, right? Oh, I have this political belief on this side or this side. And no matter
Mhm.
what happens, you're going to stick with that because you have identified yourself with that.
That makes
So,
sense.
right. So it's the same thing. Just start telling everybody you do this. And eventually you'll go, well, I have to keep doing it because now everybody knows me as that.
Right. Now you're committed. Now you got
Yep.
to be 100% committed. Wow. Now there's a level, and I know I've been through this, where okay, you've taken on the belief, you've identified yourself with the thing and you say you do. Now there's the research loop, right? Where you get into the years and years of researching this thing. Um, how did you get past from okay, I want to do this, and then you got to all right, I'm gonna sit here on Microsoft Word and figure out how to put a website together, and so on and so forth. So there was some research I would imagine prior to that. Did you ever feel like okay, there's an endless loop of information, especially nowadays, right? Where we have the internet, you can sit here and be researching forever and never actually jump all the way in.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not a problem for me. Uh, I I love to research, yeah, and probably more than most people. I love to study. I like
Mhm.
being good at what I do. Uh, but maybe I just know if I don't take any steps forward that
It'll never
nothing's going to
happen.
happen.
Yeah.
And there is the feedback loop too. Is the sooner you have a success, any success, that feeds into the feedback loop. So
Mm.
if you just take something you learned and immediately start using it, after a period of time, it just becomes habit to start new things. And I'm going to be honest, I did not research that thing the first thing that
You
I
first started.
sold. Yeah,
Uh,
I sold a lot of it. I didn't research. It was, and this goes back to what I said about our brain being a goal-seeking mechanism and has information we don't consciously have access to. I believe it is, if you come up with an idea, I think that idea is probably pretty good. It's throwing up really good ideas.
mhm.
So I don't feel a need to research deeply because I think if I do, I'm going to start finding, due to how biases work, I'm going to start finding the reasons to talk me out of it so I don't fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd rather, instead of spending years researching, I'd rather spend a couple of weeks just testing the business. You can test
Hmm.
something out really fast,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah,
Now
super fast.
we go into okay, we have a business idea. How do you advise someone that says, that are assuming, what the market wants, but actually finding out, a need and really filling that need?
You ask the market is the fastest way. Now,
Okay.
sometimes Having said that, for those of you who go, I don't want to do that, I just want to start, then go ahead and start. You'll find out one way or another.
Right, right.
Um, but asking the market is the best way. Now you can use best principles to know if there is a need or not. And that's
Mhm.
something I've done a lot of work with on how to come up with a good offer. So I guess that's where we're at here is talking about how do you know if something's a good offer, right?
Right, right.
So the first way is definitely to ask the market or go out and ask somebody who would be your ideal customer profile, right? Person you
Okay.
would be a potential customer.
Yeah.
So that is the best way. Now there's other ways to do this.
Really?
So the ways to do this are, well, first thing, it differs a little bit depending on what you're doing. If your goal is you want to sell a physical product or software, something, basically you're an e-com, you're just selling this thing and making money as compared to you're selling your knowledge, your coaching or
Mhm.
consulting.
Mhm.
So these are two different approaches. So we can
Got you.
choose one, and I can tell you about how I would approach either one of those.
Sure, sure. How would let's say the product market. So you have a physical thing or a digital application. How would you go about, I guess the best way I can imagine is shopping it around to people, like you said, seeing how they get a feel for it. We talked before about going free to paid, right? Do you ever see people waste time in the free department where they don't see any progression?
Yeah, just giving out plenty of information, doing that type of
Hmm.
thing. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. uh, the easiest way to make money is make offers.
Okay.
I would to anybody who's listening to this, just write this down, in magic marker on your living room wall. Make offers, make more
Hmm.
offers, make more offers. Because some people are going to buy, and you're probably going to find an offer that people like.
Yeah.
But if you're even before that stage, you go, I don't know what to sell here. Like, I don't have this thing yet. And that's where I think most people are probably at. They don't
Right.
have, if you have something, take it to market and find out.
Right.
If you don't have a thing, I can think of three primary ways that I approach it. One is, basically get some idea of what niche you want to be in. You know,
Hmm.
even if you don't, you're wide open, then choose anything. But if you have some idea, find the black Lamborghini in that niche. Black Lambo offer. Okay.
I like
What,
that. I
what
like
that
that.
is, so what that is find somebody whose website, whose lifestyle, everything, the fact that they're running ads for the last year or so, find somebody who looks like they are probably driving a black Lamborghini. In other words, they are successful. Right? If you can find someone who's successful, you reverse engineer them, you hack them. You buy whatever it is that they have. You sign up for their mailing list, you buy what they have, you see what they sell you on the back end, because 9 times out of 10, they're not making money with the thing that you think that you're purchasing. They're making money with the things they're selling you afterwards.
Hmm.
Right? So
Hmm.
you find somebody who's driving a black Lamborghini, somebody who's clearly successful, and you just knock them off. You can do it slightly with a slightly different product, but I'm going to tell
Hmm.
you, the closer you can come to doing exactly what they're doing, the more likelihood of success you will have. I've experienced that myself. I hired a coach. I paid the guy 10,000 bucks. He was coaching me on how to do a model in a different niche, but a model that was very successful. And I met some results, right? Finally, I said, no, I'm going to do exactly what you're doing. And I went from making, I think I was making like 1,000 bucks a month on this thing to, we scaled it up before we lost the business for various reasons, $65,000 a month recurring.
Amazing.
Yeah, by doing exactly what he was doing. So if you can find that and stay very close to it, because there's so many variables where it might have been this one variable that you changed,
Hmm.
and that's what blew the business for you, right? So having said that, they've probably split test their headlines, everything on their website, their offer, they've already done all the work to be successful. That stuff can take years. You get it from day one.
Right. Right.
It's such a powerful technique.
It saves you so much time being able, it's like a cheat code, right?
Yeah,
Being
it
able
sure
to,
is. Yeah.
school
So you're,
doesn't promote that to not to look at the other person's paper, but you almost have to in business.
yeah. So, just, that your starting point is so much further along. And honestly, in any business, unless you are very lucky, you're going to be, you don't think of this as it was a winner or a loser. Think of it
Mhm.
as I am not good enough yet to make it a winner. It has
Mhm.
to get better. Because if anybody else is making money with something, you can too. So
That's
you're
right.
just not good enough yet, right? And the way to get good at it is you keep testing. You tweak that offer, you tweak the price, you tweak all these things. Actually, that might be a little misleading. What you want to do is you look for this theoretical, but theory of constraints. You look for the first thing in your funnel that's blocking people from going down the funnel. A funnel is an A to
Mm.
B journey flow,
Right.
and there's
Right.
always one thing that's blocking the flow somewhere downstream. So that
Okay.
was, um, so anyways, that is one way. So you just start there, and you're so much closer to being successful than if you try to figure it all out from the start.
Got you. Got you.
Okay.
Now, I run into a lot of other business owners who have massive followings, but they struggle to kind of bridge them into a customer base. How do you go about doing that, or over the years have done that?
Welcome to Independent Trading University at ITU. We're more than just an education platform. We're a community built to help you succeed. Trading can feel like a solo journey, but with ITU, you're never alone. Our team is here to support, guide, and push you toward mastery. Technical analysis support, so you can read the charts with precision. Fundamental support, so you understand market moving news and economics. Psychology support, so you can develop the mindset of a successful trader. We provide the tools you need to thrive: weekly live education, 24/7 community support, and real-time trading setups from experienced coaches. Wherever you are, access the education and mentorship that will transform your trading. Join ITU today and trade with confidence.
They have massive following, Bridgman and customer base.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the niche. What they have
Okay.
probably done is well, either they're not making offers to that niche,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or they
Make more
grew,
offers.
yeah, make more offers. Or they grew a list of non-buyers,
Mhm.
right? I did that once where I did a free giveaway. It was in the survival niche. I'm not a survivalist, but it was just a niche I was working in. And grew a huge list very fast of people who wanted free stuff. Right?
Right. Of
They
course.
weren't buyers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you have to look at the reason that they're following is following them, and then they're following for a reason. They have some problem, probably, unless
Okay.
it's just a lifestyle. Hey, look at my lifestyle, right? And in that case, you sell them how to have your lifestyle. But if they're
Mhm.
following you because they have a problem, they think you have the answer, then you make offers that solve that problem for them.
Most definitely. And that'll help convert.
Yes.
Yeah. How does transitioning into business now I've done this myself. People spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in ads, right? Are there certain things that you can do prior to spending that capital, um, for spending a dime on ads? How do you do, like, transition into, okay, I've got free clients coming in. Do I want to take the step of ads early? Is there a too early point to do that? Where do you flip that switch from free to the paid offer?
Okay. So you're asking if you say you already have some clients coming to you.
Right. You've got some clients, so you want to transition into paying for ads, right?
Mhm.
Is there a too early point to do that? Or should you just start the ground running after you have some clients coming in and start running ads through social media?
Okay. Yeah. Ads versus organic marketing. It's a
Hmm.
big area. Uh, my my approach to it is, first of all, I love ads because
Hmm.
ads you can scale so fast. There's pros and cons to ads. There's pros and cons to organic. The it's not an either or. The way you bridge that gap is you use organic initially to validate your offer, to make sure that the thing you're offering is something people want, and the way you're offering it is something that people want.
Understood.
Right?
Understood.
And you don't need to spend months doing that. You can spend days, a few days, right? If you put it in front of enough people, 10, 20 people even, that should be your ideal client. And they'll go, no thanks, I pass. Then there's something wrong with your offer or the way
Understood.
you're presenting it. So once you've got that wording down, you say that and they go, yeah, I want that. Then there's no reason not to take it to paid ads. Now you have to be good with paid ads. You have to understand how to do it right. There's a lot of strategy there, but there's
Okay.
no reason to wait.
Got you. Got you. Now these days too, and maybe people are coming from an older generation or just an old way of doing things where they think the office and overhead is the way to go. We talked about this a bit, but here with ITU, we value freedom, right? We want to have that time on our side more than just the money alone. Why and what are the things people are doing to go from I got a business idea, I want to test this over in 48 hours, you said. What kind of tests do you run on business in a 48-hour period to even ground that out?
What kind of business would you test, or what kind of?
Well, like what are you doing in a 48-hour period to test the business?
Okay, a 48-hour period, you could either do, if you want to test the idea without doing ads, if you just want to test
Hmm.
it, you can do
Hmm.
direct outreach. And
Okay.
direct outreach it can be a little bit painful, tough on your ego, but it's the fastest way to do it. So you find an audience of people, whether it's LinkedIn or whether, a great way to find people. Here's a trick for your audience, although everybody listening is probably not quite at this point yet, but you can do something like, look at Facebook ads. One thing I do is I help people whose marketing funnels are not profiting, right? People, if they're already spending money, they're not profiting. There's something broken in their funnel. So I go out to Facebook ads and find people who are running ads. And I know that most of them are failing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they've been doing it for a year or more. And I can do direct outreach to them. So
Gotcha.
say, hey, if you're running ads and your ads are failing and you're not getting positive ROI, that's why I specialize in. Would you like to chat? If
Mm,
if you have a problem, I know, like I say, it can be painful doing direct outreach because of rejection, but I don't know about you, but if I have a problem and somebody just messaged me, even Facebook Messenger, and says, "Hey, Bob, I have the solution to this problem that you have," I don't care. I'm going to listen to them,
right.
right?
Right. Because you
What?
want that solution.
Yeah. So get over. You're doing people a favor by doing direct outreach.
Yeah. And I think this speaks well to what sales really is, where it's just helping other person with a problem, right? So if it's the right person, you're not going to have as much rejection or fight, right? It's going to be like, hey, I've got a solution. You've got a problem. Where can we meet up at on this, and put you in the right position? It's really helping somebody else.
Yeah, and the bottom line is you're going to filter through a whole lot of people saying no before you find that one person who says yes.
Most definitely.
Yeah, if you're selling something very high end.
Got you. Many of our listeners are also family oriented, and you spoke many times. You and your wife were partners in business.
Mhm.
You mentioned a time before when we talked. You had almost quit $1 million business because of client stress, right? Until she stepped in. How did you guys divide and conquer based on strengths?
I am fine with being in front of the camera. Um, you may not agree.
I'm with you. You're
He's
doing
not so
great.
good. But I'm fine with being in front of the camera. Um, she is not fine with it. So she likes numbers. She loves doing books, which I hate. She likes, she's fine with getting trademarks and, and all that stuff. Um, so it was just a natural fit to do that.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
the things I don't like dealing with customer issues and people being upset with me. And early on, product that I had, as you were saying, I had was sitting on a product that was doing really well. Ultimately, sold a whole lot of it, and I almost gave it up because of a couple people who called in and got in an argument with me on the phone, customer service.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, all
Wow.
right, I'm not going to do this. And and it was because it was actually in a self-defense niche, martial arts, tough guys, and I'm a
Mhm.
tough guy, and you're not going to out
Mhm.
tough guy me. And she
Oh,
said, well, they're not
man.
going to do that to her.
Right, right, right.
So yeah, so it just that's how we handle it, anyways.
And that's great positioning, having a partner that can like bring things down to a calm level and actually process a decent solution.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about you guys share a goal of travel freedom, right? Is that a big part, a big focus on the goal line uh for the driving factor?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, we we get to experience things a lot of people don't get to experience.
Mhm.
Um, and at our age, that's the last thing we want to do is limit ourselves any more than necessary. So yeah,
Right.
it is the driving factor. It's low time freedom and location freedom. Now it's not always going to be smooth. There's going to be times where maybe you got to pick. Who knows? Maybe you do it for a while. Life doesn't go linearly, right?
Right.
Maybe you got to go pick up a job for a while, and and if you do, you work nights until you get your business going again, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
just the way it is. But it is for me. It's been certainly worthwhile.
Excellent. Excellent. I like that you mentioned some of the clients you had to deal with in the martial arts department. What are the red flags now that you look for before you agree to kind of take someone on for coaching?
Are they going to do what I say? uh, I tend to be very data driven. So if somebody's going to work off of their feeling, and yeah, sometimes your gut is right, your subconscious is right, uh, but it not always right. And so there's again, this is probably a little bit past where your audience is. If people listening to this still don't know what to sell, this is a little bit past that. But once you come up with something to sell, I talked about the flow of a marketing funnel, right? Somebody sees your ad or they see a banner or you talk to them and send them to a web page somewhere, right? There are points through that where through this flow where people fall off, where that flow gets constricted, right? Um, I see it as a pipe. So you get, when you have great throughput in this pipe, things are going great. But if you get a smaller piece of pipe right up here at the beginning, nothing afterwards gets any more water than that, right?
Mhm. Right.
So
Yeah.
your job is to look at this thing. Now, where that constricted part is. Now, using numbers, data, you can see exactly where that is. All right. Most people are either going to run ads or going to run organic traffic, right? So if you're running ads, are you getting less than 1% conversion rate? If you're getting 0.5% conversion rate, your ad has a problem, right? You're not getting enough attention. People don't know what you do, right?
Right.
But
Right.
let's say you're getting a 2% conversion rate. 2% of people are clicking the ad. That's a good number. And they come to your sales page, and then everybody's bouncing off that sales page in the first 3 to 5 seconds.
Mm.
That's the next point, right?
Yeah. There's telltale signs. There's telltale
Yeah.
signs.
And
Yeah.
and there are limited number of reasons at each of these or signals, things you can look at, symptoms at each of these points. There's a limited number of things that could be wrong.
Mhm.
So, you look at, is it this or is it this or this or this? For example, if they got to that page and they bounced off right away, and that's data, you can see that in your Google Analytics if you set it up, right? Well, then one of the things was either there was no hook there, or the offer right? There's no hook, nothing that made them go, oh, I want to keep reading, or the offer was not clear, which is very common. Like, what is this page about?
Mm.
or or the ad said one thing and the page was a little bit different than what the ad was, and that's not what I came here for, right? So there's a number of things, and then it
Gotcha.
just keeps going. Do they scroll down to the page further? Did they eventually click the button? Did they click the button and start filling out the cart and then dropped off? Or did they book a
Mm.
call and never not book call, or book call and not show up? There's these conversion points, and data can show you which one is where they're falling. And when you do that, it's, I'm not saying it's easy, it's a whole lot easier than just guessing that, oh, I need to change my offer, I need to change my price. You'll waste years, months or years doing that.
Right.
Whereas this
Right.
could have been in a day.
And you said you mentioned those that don't follow through, right? They get involved in the system, and I've dealt with this as well, where people come in to get coaching, they're paying for the coaching, but then they're not showing up. How do you protect kind of your peace of mind from someone's lack of execution? Right? It's just like write them off, get rid of them. Hey, look, you're not committing to really doing this, or are there other methodologies you might use?
Well, writing them off is one good one. Whiskey is a solution.
Right, right.
Well, what I do is I call it the three C's. Okay, so if somebody doesn't buy, or if they don't continue going, doing what they're supposed to do, there's only three reasons really why somebody is, well, purchases and or maybe is not successful. Uh, they didn't buy from you, or they didn't complete. Clarity, commitment, and confidence. So, and this is not something to brush over, guys. This is serious. Clarity. If they didn't buy, or they aren't continuing to move forward, it's because they don't. If they didn't buy from you, they may book a call. They don't have clarity on how they're going to get the result that you're offering, right? Or if they're already a client, they don't have clarity. They can't see A, B, C, D, the steps they're going to take to get to that endpoint that they desperately want. If they're already a client, they paid you good money. They were serious about getting there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So something in the process has gotten vague for them, and they can't connect the steps they're taking with how they're going to get there,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
right?
Did you run into clients ever where you had to, you came to a stage where you weren't, your offer wasn't high enough, so you weren't getting the right kind of clientele?
The offer, the pricing wasn't high enough.
Yeah, because I've been to many different coaching seminars or brand, and they always talk about like there's clients they'll get, say if they're paying $100 a month for your coaching versus the kind of client they'll get that's paying $10,000 for their coaching, and the commitment level difference in either.
Yeah, you have to kind of determine your audience before you ever, early on, who the
Yeah.
audience is going to be, and your positioning, and they're going to hear it in all your marketing. Um, and this also speaks to why you have to come up with your audience and your marketing message before you ever go to market.
Mhm.
That's a topic on its own. Uh, but yeah, if I can give an example of a very good example of not myself, but of somebody who I actually helped. I coached them. Um, this fella, it's a guy and his dad. His dad is doing great, and the son was running the dad's social media marketing, right?
Mhm.
And the father was in with people, very high end clients. So a person in one of his associates reached out and said, "Hey, what does your son charge for doing our social media marketing?" And came back and he said something like, "Well, it'll probably be 2,000 a month, something like that," which for a lot of people would think, yeah, that's reasonable. And they said, "Listen, our company would never hire him at that rate because he's way too low." They wanted him. They saw what good work his son did, but his price was too cheap.
Mhm.
So they had to raise up to like $8,000 a month, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So so it's a real thing, but it
Yeah,
depends on who your audience is.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, I want to kind of get into now where you are now, right? How lifestyles changed from 15 years ago, I'm sure. What's an average kind of Tuesday look like for you for the unemployable life?
Well, I do what I tell people not to do. I work multiple things because I'm always, I call it opportunity vision. Right?
Mhm.
Some people may say
Mhm.
it's shiny object syndrome. No, it's not jump from one thing to another before you have evidence.
Yeah.
But um, I work in multiple things. So I do some things where I keep myself out there looking for or keep myself available for people who want my help.
Mhm.
I don't really enjoy chasing people down and trying to compel people
Mhm.
to, please hire me. That's not my thing.
Right.
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 Uh,
Same.
and I do know that at the level that I'm at, I've been doing this a long time. I know what people need to do to be successful. I know how to break a funnel down. Maybe I can't make people successful, but I know what they do. But most people in that world are not sophisticated enough to know that's how to do it. You can go look at job sites, look at Upwork or someplace. You'll see people, posting, "Hey, I want you to build a high converting funnel for me." Newsflash, there's no such thing as a high converting funnel.
Right. Right. Especially not from the beginning. That's
Yeah.
you gotta test that in stages.
Yeah. If a person could build a high converting funnel like Newitt, they would be the
Mhm.
richest man in Babylon.
Yeah.
They would be making billionaires, right? And they would
100%.
charge any amount of money they wanted to. So
Right.
that just does not exist. Um,
Okay.
so having said that, I have a few different things that I work on. I've got a few different sources of income. I just started a very recently, this is what I'm talking about. You can test something fast. I'm about to launch a supplement offer, right?
Nice.
Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, and I only came up with the idea 2 weeks ago.
Wow. That's fast. See, as soon as you get it, you got to get on it, right? You got to take action.
Yeah, I do know of somebody who's doing a similar supplement now. Theirs has some advantages that mine doesn't, but this it's a two-person company and they're doing $65,000 a month in sales on their company
Wow.
of
Wow.
one supplement.
Wow.
The supplement business can be pretty good too. So, uh, so yeah, to me, hey, that's worth testing out. If I've got, depending on how you work, if you're a coach and consulting and doing a lot of social media, you don't have time for that. Just do one thing if that's if that's where you're at. I don't
Yeah.
recommend doing that. If you are in e-commerce and you're going through periods where you are testing, like I tweaked a headline now or an ad or something, and I have to let it run for a week or two to get 1,000 people coming through or enough, 100 visitors or 200 visitors to my site to see if it improved my conversion rate or not. Then I've got to sit on my hands and do nothing for 2 weeks.
Right.
I
Right.
can't test things, right?
Yeah.
So why not put another one into the mix? So that's
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
that's my approach. It's not ideal. I do believe in the focus on one thing, put all your energy into one thing model, but even more so for coaching and consulting than e-commerce because
Gotcha.
a lot of people do well with multiple streams of income as well.
Most definitely. And it's a requirement these days.
Yeah.
How did you manage family time versus business time kind of in that mid stage as you were running up to your $5 million run?
Uh, I talked my wife out of her job so she would work with me.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
we had plenty of family time together.
Of
Um,
course.
and earlier on, when our kids were younger, uh, she spent most of the time with the kids, and I did my thing. It worked out fine. You know,
Good. Good.
it really
Having that,
it just wasn't hard.
yeah. And I'm sure she kind of made your life easier just as a respect of, hey, you're out there, you've got to hunt, you've got to do what you got to do. Don't worry about the home front
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of thing. That,
yeah.
that's good.
And one day I was out with my father having a beer at the middle of a Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock because I was really running my business in about 4 or 5 hours a week.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I sent her a picture of us, like, at while she was at work, a little video, and I guess that got to her. And she was shortly afterwards working with me.
Got it. Got that. That's awesome. That is amazing. Now, I like this story of you paying a 10K for a coach. Did you do it? Do you have a savings for personal education investing, or was it like, hey, this is my last $10,000. I'm gonna try to get this coach to teach me what he did.
I had a business that was successful already.
Okay.
Now, I'm not that, I'm not going to say I'm that type of organized where or that strategic where I make sure I put this many funds into education. Life's not like that, at least not for
Right.
me. For a lot of people, it is.
Okay.
I tend to fly by the seat of my pants a lot, but it works for me, and life is short. I'd rather swing for the fences and strike
Hmm.
out,
Hmm.
risk striking out, but also risk going big too. Um, so yeah, in that case, we had a business that was already making money, not huge. Well, yeah, it was actually pretty good. And he was doing better. This fellow was doing better than I was. Um, and so, we talked, and he says, "I'll show you what I'm doing." Like, okay. And it was worthwhile.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Do people tend to spend a lot, I feel like, in their overhead where they feel like they need so much. And I know you use a very basic finite, hey, I don't need a website with all the glitz and glam. How do you make something simple amass such um great income or profit and revenue from a business with very little in the website side of things or social media, not adding so many colors and things that they try to use to keep people's attention. You use a very basic way of doing things.
yeah, so with how can I explain this? With coaching and consulting, you don't even need a website. So if you want to keep it simple, you put yourself out there. If you have the time to do the do the posting, do the content, whether you're doing YouTube or social media, Facebook, whatever, you do your content, and when people reach out, when they raise their hand, you even if they like, hey, I like this post, message them, oh, thanks for liking my post. Did that resonate with you? Are you working on this thing? Do direct outreach, right? You get them in a conversation, and then, hey, I can help you. Or somebody expresses a problem online, I can help you with that. No problem. I'll help you for free. Solve some problem for them, right? You get them in a conversation, and then you help them out a little bit, and then you can take them further and say, hey, I also offer this thing, right? So if you're
Gotcha.
interested in that, I'm going to tell you about it in 1 second. I'm going to tell you about remind me about the beta group method that I think is the method for coaching and consulting. I think it's the perfect method. Um, so you can do that. If you want a basic website, you just create something on a Google Doc,
Hmm.
design it a little bit, make it look nice, and go, hey, you expressed some interest, you commented, whatever. By the way, here's what I do. If you'd like to read more about it, here's my Google Doc. You can go with that simple. A website, I think that too many colors, too much design distracts away from the message. You want to have this message that says exactly what they're going to get by working with you, the problem they're going to solve by working with you. And that should be very clear. And you put too much stuff around there, it distracts them from that one message. That message on your website should be either a clear, yes, I want this, or no, I don't.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right? And
And
the
from a
simpler, the better.
from a product standpoint, same case. right? If it's a digital product or a physical product, walk that same path.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Hmm.
Nothing I ever did was pretty. I used to be intimidated by that. I'd see other people with such nice sites, and think, how do I compete with these people? Once I started understanding what I was doing, I was going out and looking at these sites and going, holy cow, is their messaging bad? Nobody there, it's great, but I have to study this guy's site to figure out what he's trying to sell.
Hmm.
Right?
Makes sense.
Regardless of how pretty it is. And that's when I
Yeah.
realized it has nothing to do with that. That's all our ego. It's all about it's about the offer. Basically, your offer, guys, you should be able to say, you, you give me X amount of dollars, I'll give you this result. If it's not a no-brainer, you got to go back to the drawing board. And all the nice design in the world isn't going to fix that.
Yeah, that's not going to clean that up.
Yeah. Now, before I forget, this is probably the best thing I can tell you guys. Once you have an offer, again, I could go very deep on how to determine your offer. I even have an offer myself that is helping people decide what to offer,
Right.
right? Because it's a real problem. Lots of people struggle for months or years and just never come up with something. It's a day. We should be able to figure that out, right?
Right. Right.
So I've got a lot of strategies there on doing that. But once you decide what you want to do, and particularly if you're in the coaching consulting niche, this is where it really works best, is don't try to sell it to somebody right out of the gate. Don't go, I'm going to sell it for $3,000, $5,000, and just sit and wait until you get a client, right? Because you could go months or years and not get anybody. Take what you offer and reach out to the people who should want that and do it for free, or at least take a piece of it, give them a piece of it for free. You don't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. For example, if you're coaching somebody or consulting, you're taking them from point A to point B, right? So there's steps. People have to go through a certain number of steps, things they have to do to get to point B. So you offer the first one step or two steps. I'm going to help do this for free for you, right? And so you bring people in like that. So getting people to come into your business, first of all, if you can't get people to take it for free, you're never going to sell it, right? See, if you get people to take, you have to be able to get people to take it for free. Otherwise, that gave you lots of feedback that you need to change the offer. You need to rework it somehow, right? So once you get people taking it for free, think of it like a river, right? You're getting some flow through this river. It's a whole lot easier to divert some of that flow into paid than to start the river flowing in the first place.
100%.
Okay, so get some action, get people coming through. That's going to start generating referrals, right? It's going to generate these people wanting more from you once they finish, because nobody's ever really finished. You can always help them more. But once you see it as, I'm going to help you for this period of time, like let's say I'm going to help you for 30 days, okay, for free, absolutely nothing. Well, first of all, you generated some reciprocity, which is great, right? Let's say I'm going to help you with, I'm going to do some, I told you I worked as an acupuncturist. So I'm going to do X number of sessions for free or whatever, something like that, a 30-day program, right? So you come in and maybe my first day I go, oh, by the way, I have every one of my clients, this is the first day that I meet, that they come take my offer for free, right? You're going to have better results if you go through my dietary training, right? I offer a free dietary training. So I want you to come in tonight or tomorrow night. Everybody who comes in for my free thing goes through this to get better results. So I teach them about diet and how they need all these supplements, not supplements, but they need to get all these things. And by the way, if you'd like these supplements, I have these supplements for sale. I have these other things you need. For example, if I was coaching somebody on having a successful business, well, first thing you need is a website. And the website that I recommend is, for example, system.io, right? It's a great website. And I'm an affiliate for it. Right? But I'll give you free training. I'll give you access to my free training, how to set everything up and everything. Video already spent an hour recording, right?
Yeah.
For when you get the website. So I upsold them this free flow. I can get people coming, to me for free coaching with a guy who's, with my experience forever, right? And
Right.
then within the
Right.
first 2 days, I've offered them something else. And then 2 days later, I've got this other thing. And by the way, you're going to need some graphics. My team does graphics for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end, I can say, okay, we've got you this far. I showed you how to come up with a great offer. I've showed you how to build a marketing message, but now you need to know how to take it to market, et cetera. And I have my paid program for that. So
Okay.
I could probably stack on 5 to 10 upsells onto this free thing. So you get somebody coming through this thing, even the very first day, you could say, okay, I've got this free code. You came in for my free beta program.
Yeah.
I did this with a program I called Expert Accelerator, how to help experts to monetize their knowledge, right?
Right.
So that was a free program I did. Well, I could have the very first day they came in and said, okay, so you're going to be meeting with me. We're going to meet one time a week for the next 4 weeks or the next 6 weeks, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to answer all your questions in group with these other people. If you would like to have personal time with me where I spend, half hour a week or whatever, 1 hour a week, helping applying it to your unique situation, then that's X amount of dollars. You can take my
Okay.
free thing did you come here, for free stuff or did you come here to be successful?
Right. Right. Are you trying to make progress or not?
Yeah. So start, free. Everybody loves free. I love
Of
free, right?
course.
So everybody loves free. So get that flow going and then monetize that flow.
Understood. Understood. That is excellent. Excellent. Um, so lastly, before we get into the Q&A with the students here, what are your thoughts for, say we have a trader profitably, and they want to set themselves up to bridge that gap to having more sources of income. Like you said, you're an affiliate for System.io. How do you um, maximize your revenue as an affiliate? Like, are you using the same business practices? Do they provide you business practices? What are your steps as an affiliate if you say, hey, in the next 12 months, I want to go from where I am, I want to use, say, a affiliate for another company and put myself in a good position a year from now? Do I focus in all on education? Do I do both? Do I start going out there and just reaching out to people every day? What are your steps you would go from zero to actionability?
As an affiliate or just in
Yeah.
general?
Well, either one. I mean, both kind of line up, I would think.
Okay. We're talking about e-commerce or consulting,
Consulting.
coaching.
Let's say consulting.
Okay. So the steps I would take, um, yeah, that's going to be a little bit different as affiliate. Affiliate, when I say affiliate for System.io, everybody who uses it is automatically affiliate. So
Okay.
it's just something that if you are in this, if you're doing a business where people are ultimately going to need a website, there's one of
Hmm.
your upsells.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, the steps you have to go, hopefully this is answering what you're asking,
Hmm.
is the first thing you have to do is come up with a problem that you're going to solve for people as a coach or consultant. It has to be a 3 a.m. problem, something that is waking people up in the middle of the night that they have to fix, not that they would like to fix, right? Would like to is later. Even in ecom, the supplement I have is for pain. People have to get out of pain. They have no option, right? So it's got to be a 3 a.m. problem, something that's really burning. Now, that's not what you sell. When you solve a problem, people get multiple results from one solved problem. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? So if I was a marriage counselor and I help the person not get divorced, well, first of all, I have helped them get to see their kids. They don't lose custody of their kids. I have helped them to not lose all this money. I've helped them to, not go through years of depression after the divorce, whatever. I help them keep the level of life. Well, now we've got all these results. So I have to pick one result that is going to be the strongest result, right? That result, hopefully I'm not going too detailed here. You can shut me
Well,
up anytime you
you're
want to.
continue. No, you're good. This is great.
Okay. So this result, I may have mentioned before, it cannot be vague. It can't be, you know, it can't be, let's say, lose weight or make more money. I'm gonna help you make more money. So you give me X amount of dollars, $2,000, $3,000, I'll help you make more money. How do I know I got it? I'm going to help you increase your revenue by 50% in the next 60 days. Bam. That is, now I can future pace. I can go, yeah, 60 days from now, if I'm doubling what I make, that's worth $3,000 to me. Okay. I'll pay that.
Yeah, yeah.
It has to, so that's probably the biggest mistake I see people make is their offer is the result they sell is vague, right? Confidence.
Makes
I'm making
sense.
more confident. How do I know if I got more confident? Do I get a confidence diploma? Right. Uh, I'll help you lose weight. How many people are in the weight loss field, right?
Many.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I lost 20 pounds, or 10 pounds. Did it take me 2 years to lose it? Or lose, how much did I
How
lose?
much time I got to dedicate? Yeah.
Yeah, how much time? So it has to be measurable. How much weight did I lose? How much money did I gain? How much ROI did I gain? How much free time did I get back in my life? Right? How many hours less am I working? And how long did it take me to get there?
Got
That's
you.
a specific offer. Now you can go, you give me X amount of dollars, you'll get this result.
That
If they
makes sense.
can't get that result, or if the average person doesn't get that result, you shouldn't be selling it anyways. Right?
Right. No,
And
for sure.
yeah, and going back to where I said give your thing away for free,
Yeah.
well then if they didn't get the result, you gave it to them for free anyways. Who cares?
Right. No harm, no foul on that
Yeah.
front. Yeah.
So you have now. So now you've got the makings of something that people will want. So you could
Mhm.
simply just take it to market and say, "Hey, people, I'll help you get this result. Post on social media. I'll help you lose 20 pounds in the next 90 days. You want it?" And people will either respond or not,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's
Uh,
immediate feedback.
yeah, so you got to meet, and you only have to do that briefly, and then you can start running paid ads when you go, oh, I got an offer, right? Now,
Mhm.
so the next thing I do, and this is an overlooked thing, is you create a marketing message. Now, a lot of people have heard this. I help blank, I help this audience to get this result in this period of time without X, Y, and Z, these things that you hate doing, right? It's a
Mhm.
typical thing in marketing. The thing people don't know is the reason you have to do that. You create this marketing message, you write it up on your living room wall in black magic marker, and that is your source of truth. Everything you put in front of the public is that marketing message in one form or another, or maybe part of it, pieces of it, but you're testing this result. You're testing the audience. I help, CEOs of, this type of business, or I help lawyers and attorneys to work 50 hours less per week by implementing systems into their business,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Right? It's very specific and to a very specific audience. Now I go out to market, and I know that I should be speaking to lawyers and CEOs of a certain type of business, right? I know what they are should be that the offer I'm testing they're going to work 50% less hours and how they're going to do it. They know it. It's clear. It's clarity, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
testing this message, and you'll get feedback. Either people want that or they don't. If you take it out to 100 people and nobody wanted it, you have to change the message. You don't necessarily have to change the result. For example, I worked with a guy who was a personal finance guy. I thought, because of where I'm at in life, I thought everybody would want to retire. So we created a marketing message, and it was beautiful, right? And we had an audience, and it was all about retirement. His audience were younger than me,
Mhm.
right? So they weren't thinking about it. They were They were like, no, no, no. And so he started saying, why not? Oh, I want to make more money. I don't want to stop working. I want to make more money. And so we changed that marketing message from to retire to increase their savings or their revenue, or to make more money basically
Right.
in X number of days. And then boom,
That
offer
changed
took
it
off.
up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
having a marketing message that you stick to ruthlessly, you take that to market, you test it, and if it doesn't, then you change based on feedback. That's a very important process.
Okay. And is that in encompassing what you talked about earlier with the beta program?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's what I had my people in my beta program, they would do. So I was doing that myself. Expert Accelerator helps you to accomplish X, right? And then each one of those people did that,
Gotcha.
right?
Understood. Great,
So
great.
there's, plenty more stuff. The next step I would have is take whatever you've got, and instead of it being, hey, I'm Bob Dorris, I help you to do this, right? Turn it into a system, a method,
Okay.
a step-by-step protocol that people go through. Because a method, a system has instant authority, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It's
It,
already proven as well.
yeah, as compared to I'm going to do this for you. Well, if I have a method of I went through the work of creating the system, it must,
Work.
it must work. So it's at least believed to be that. And it adds clarity because a method has steps to it, and prospects can look at the steps and go, yeah, I see if I follow these steps, I should be able to get the result. So that would be the very next thing I do. So there's a series of things, but these are the steps for people in the coaching consulting niche. If you're trying to take your trading skills out to market and help other people accomplish what you've accomplished, this is what you would want to do.
Definitely. Definitely. Awesome. All right. So we want to go ahead and open up the floor. If you guys can turn your camera on, if you have a question, this will be the time.
Most traders already know what to do. That is not the problem. The problem is execution. Knowing the plan does not matter if you cannot follow it. Understanding the market does not matter if emotion makes the decisions. ITU Rise exposed the habits, beliefs, and patterns holding traders back. ITU Execute is where those patterns are replaced with standards. This is not motivation. This is not another strategy. This is professional execution training. At ITU Execute, traders build non-negotiable rules, structured routines, and decision frameworks designed to hold up under pressure. No shortcuts, no hype, just disciplined operation. If you are still searching for the next indicator, this is not for you. But if you are ready to operate like a professional, this is the next step. You already rose. Now it is time to execute. ITU Execute, Q1 performance.
It would just kind of come down to, as he was speaking, it was flagging books in my head. So I would like to ask if he was reading through that comedy or any book recommendations he would have that helped him throughout his journey.
Book recommendations. Yeah, I recommend The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt, I think his name is. I don't know if I recommend reading the whole thing. I recommend getting a summary of it so you understand the concept.
Okay.
Okay, and the general concept is what I talked about with your business is as a flow, as a funnel, and anything you're trying to accomplish, instead of just guessing what to do, there's always one main thing that fixes it, that unlocks everything else at any given time. When you fix this one thing, something else, but there's always one thing that is going to have the most impact at any given time. That applies to business, it applies to life, whatever. Once you start thinking those terms, it'll be very helpful. He talked about it in a manufacturing business context, but you can find summaries and apply it to anything. So I would do that. For determining what you're going to sell, I don't. I would say I've probably spent more time on that topic than anybody I know. So if you're really struggling with that, reach out to me and we'll book a session. But I don't have any suggestions for how to come up with your offer. There's people who touch on it here and there. As far as how to take it to market, any the big ones in the marketing world, Russell Brunson's stuff was very good. Funnel, anything having to do with funnels is good. There's other people who have written some good books. I forget the name of. There's one called "You Should Test That." That's pretty good. And another one, I can't remember the name of it, but basically it's just these different things to test in your marketing funnel that can make big differences. Having said that, where those books tend to fall down is they don't tell you the first thing to test. So you could be that's what I just talked about. That's why the goal, the looking at the flow, because you could be testing your headline, your pricing, your offer, and it was actually something back on the ad, right? So yeah, Brunson stuff is good. Alex Hormozy is very good. Exact same thing though. Hormozy, I think there's an assumption there that where he's really strong is helping people with upsells, downsells, that type of thing, right? And really maximizing the lifetime value of a customer you've got, right? And he has a book on how to create a really compelling offer. But he doesn't do anything in he doesn't really do much on figuring out where things are broken.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
And Steve, you got anything?
Yeah, so Mr. Bob, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, like mindset psychology, right? So going through a lot of these trials that you had throughout your lifetime, I know that was pretty difficult, but you still found a way to overcome them, right? So what are some things that you kind of told yourself, like that self-talk, to create that flexible, ability, that mental flexibility to go from one failure to the other to achieve your victories?
Ooh, good question. The self-talk, you just nailed it there. Self-talk, what you tell yourself on a daily basis. We are nothing other than a bunch of, I don't want to say nothing other than, but we are 90% our past experiences, things people have said to us, things we've said to ourselves. We have fed all that in, and we're just reflecting that. So you've got to, if you're struggling, you've got to change what other people are saying to you, what you're saying to yourself, and you've got to do it, aggressively. Otherwise, you're in trouble. So I don't know if this will help, but I can give you an example of one time I kind of changed my life. I was pretty young. I did an experiment. When I first started hearing about, I was in my early 20s, when I first started hearing about how important it was to, what we tell ourselves, and you can program your mind. I grew up I got bullied a lot as a kid. And that was, that's part of the reason I don't work for anybody, because it feels like bullying when somebody tells me what to do. So I can't do it. Right. So I ended up studying martial arts, and I became good at martial arts, really good, actually. I practiced all the time. And I still didn't think I was any good. I couldn't believe I was any good because I had this programming from earlier that, Bob's the type of guy who should get bullied, right? It happened to me when I was 14 years old. So I started learning some things. I started practicing programming my mind. What I really wanted to do was be a martial arts instructor, right? Because I really looked up to those guys. So I started telling myself, yeah, I'm a martial arts instructor. I'm really good at this. I'm really good. I started telling other people around me, right? That I was a great martial artist. I was bragging a little bit, but I didn't believe it. But I started telling other people that, talking about how much I train and all this stuff and bragging a little bit. And I would say within 30 days, I was overhearing people talking about how good I was. I had programmed the people around me for that. And so as I started getting feedback from them that I'm actually good, I had one day somebody, just said, "Hey, Bob, why aren't you opening a martial arts school?" And I'm like, "Well, I actually couldn't remember why I don't open a martial arts school." Within 2 weeks, I had opened up my martial arts school. So it was a lot of just self-talk, talking to others until they believed my beliefs, and I surrounded myself with that, and then it eventually just kind of broke through. Does that at all answer your question?
No, that answers just a go real quick. I'm not trying to take a lot of your time. Just going through the phase of that loser mindset into a winning mindset with ITU. That kind of really hit the nail on the head as far as what I tell myself before, like I entered the markets for my trading sessions, right? And then I guess a follow up question would be for you once you built that self-belief in yourself, once you like start the martial arts school and you were really realizing the dreams that you've had in your mind, what was the thing that allowed you to go to the next level? Like, once the self-belief was there, what gave you that push to go like to even to an elite level like you're all right now?
Hmm. Um,
I know, I'm
fear,
sorry.
yeah,
This is a
fear of losing it, fear of
ah,
having to go back where I was.
yes.
I would say that's still what drives me. Uh, fear, if you can tap into fear in a certain, it can be pretty powerful. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I started training martial arts when I was 16 years old. I still practice today. No, just because I never want to be bullied again. I have this deep-seated fear of being bullied, right? Well, I have this deep-seated fear of being poor, sleeping in my car, sleeping in my martial arts school, which I don't run, teach a school. I don't have a school anymore, but that still is there. And I remember it so strongly, that feeling, and I never want to feel that way again. So, yeah, if you can get really angry about what you felt before, what you went through before, and just go, I'm never going to go through that. I'd rather die than go through that again. That'll drive you forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the emotion behind like going back to the version that previous version. Yeah, I love it. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Speaking of the emotions, the stronger emotion you have towards something, the stronger nervous signals that you send through your body. And, so you're building, if you can really feel, get emotional when you're thinking about your goals and where you don't want to be, literally feel it. You're going to build stronger nervous pathways, stronger memories than if you're like, oh, that would be nice if I accomplished that.
Yeah. No, using that good anger. I call it good anger. Like, you're mad about something, but instead of being destructive with the anger, you channel it. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so thank you, sir. I appreciate the answer.
Sure.
Excellent. Excellent. So, before we close out, Bobby, where can people reach out to you if you want to plug in anything as far as being able to tap in, get coaching and consulting from you? You can use this time for that.
Sure. You can reach me email me at bob@bobdorris, DORRIS.com. You can find me at website, bobdorris.com. There's a form there. Even if the form doesn't relate to your exact situation, if the website's not about your situation, just fill it out and reach out and tell me what you got going on. We'll see if there's something there I can do. My guess is that a lot of people who are going to hear this are probably at the point where they need some help to figure out what they should be selling. So we can do that. If you'd like, I could do a session on that. Or if you are already doing something, you're going, yeah, it's just not working, then that's another level where we can work.
Most definitely. And hey, thank you so much again for your time. It's been a fantastic episode. Great conversation. We will definitely touch base now that I'm in Florida. So that's amazing.
You're next door.
You're right. And yeah, everybody watching, hey, thanks for you guys tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. You know how that goes. And I hope this make a difference. I hope this conversation helps set you up to be able to make some decisions going forward that'll change your life.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. All right, Bob. Thanks again for your time. Students, thanks for coming through, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a blessed one, y'all.
All right.